Well, good evening, and welcome to the Willie Lawson Show here on Spreaker.com. Spreaker.com. It has been a while since we've been here. It's been a while since we've decided to use this platform, and I'll tell you why. I had taken, as most of you know, we had taken this platform, which is a great opening to iHeartRadio, and had done some shows, and we had submitted those shows, and because it was 2 weeks before, between shows, by the time they got to it, by the time the folks at iHeartRadio got to it, they denied us again. But you know what? Nothing that you're going to try, nothing that you're going to do is going to be easy, and you're not going to get it the first, second, third, fourth time. We have submitted this show a number of times, and we will continue to submit it because I believe in it. I believe in what we're doing. I believe in what we're doing. Now, we've got some partners now, which is really, really cool. And one of the partners we have now is the Red River Chronicle website. The Red River Chronicle.com website is it's a new thing, and it's the perfect thing at the perfect time kind of conservative website. What they do is they make sure that they write articles that are relevant to what's going on, that are informational, that are well written, and they avoid the crazy. We talk about all the time being able to attenuate the crazy in the independent conservative movement. So there's more content, and there's more meat to the stories, and there's more understanding to the stories they write and the commentary they write. I think it's very, very important. I think Kevin Batts and his wife writes, and they have a team there that write for the website that are doing a fantastic job. And because they decided to come alongside the Willie Lawson Show here on Spreaker, you know what? What I told him was that we will take him everywhere. We would take him everywhere we went. There's also some great friends out there in the Tampa Bay area. If you're looking for a new home, if you're moving to the area, first of all, if you're moving to the area, bring your own water. Okay? If you're moving to the area, bring your own water, because we don't have very much. It rains a lot in the summertime, but bring your own water. It's great folks at New Homes of Tampa Bay. You can reach them on the web at newhomestampabay.com. You can reach them on the web there, and they will help you find the perfect new home. You know, but a lot of times people think that they can't afford a new home. Well, maybe you can't, but it's always nice to try, because it's a lot simpler, and a lot less, a lot fewer surprises down the road, as opposed to an older home. So you know what? Get a hold of me. Send me an email at wls860@gmail.com. We are back on Spreaker, and we decided, because we do have some support now, what we're going to do is we're going to spread this show out. Before we could only do half-hour shows, and now we can do shows that are longer. So we're going to do more shows. We have more storage space here on Spreaker, and we're going to do some shows that are longer. Listen, we'll be back in a little bit with more of the Willie Lawson Show and the state of football in America. I think this is an important show. I mean, everybody has commented. I've commented on this on Blog Talk Radio, but I have not commented here about the NFL and what's going on in college football with Florida State and Jameis Winston and all these things. So we're going to comment on those to sort of give you an idea of where we are as a country. Anyway, we'll be back with more of the Willie Lawson Show here on Spreaker.com right after these messages.
All in together now. We can make it better now. Come on, can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
We'll rope it up,
cause we know how to jump.
we'll roll it out,
Cause we know how to skate.
we'll cut it down,
Cause we know what to eat.
we'll swap it out.
We eat healthy stuff.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
Yeah, well come on.
Today's a good day to grab your kids and hang out with them for an hour. Dance, walk, play a sport, or cook a healthy meal. Because just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier.
Can we do it?
Yeah, you know that we can.
We'll ball it up,
Cause we know how to hoop.
we'll mess around,
Cause we know how to play.
we'll drop it down,
Cause we know how to dance.
we'll veg it up.
Veggie night and day.
Can we do it?
Search We Can online to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day to keep you and your kids healthy. Remember, that's We Can. A message from the Ad Council, HHS, and NIH's We Can program.
Well, good morning. Are you interested in upping your conservative IQ? To be more solid in your conservative thought? To be able to debate at a higher level? To be able to understand at a higher level what conservatism in America is really all about? Well, I can help you now. Alongside us as partners is a new partner, the RedRiverChronicle.com website. The RedRiverChronicle.com website, whose founder is Kevin Batts, understands what conservatism is all about and understands it in the way they write their articles, their commentary, all the educational material that is on the website, put together in a great way, very easy to navigate. So if you want to up your IQ, go to RedRiverChronicle.com.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
All right, we're back with more of the Will Austin Show here on Spreaker.com. Thank you ever so much for tuning in, especially if you're listening live. It is 12:04 a.m. on the 23rd of September. So it is early in the morning here on the East Coast, early in the morning, and it's getting pretty late on the West Coast if you're listening. If you're listening live, do me a favor, send me an email at WLS860@gmail.com. That's WLS860@gmail.com, and let me know when you're listening and how you're listening. I would really appreciate that. That would give me a good idea of for marketing purposes and and show planning purposes, what we should be doing and how we should be doing it. It's really, really important to me to find out where you are and what time you're listening and on what devices are you listening. Are you listening on your iPad? Are you listening to the show on your on your smartphone or your computer, or how are you listening to the Will and Austin Show here on Spreaker? I think that's that's information that we can use for show planning and the like. Again, we really appreciate your feedback. And if you listen to the show live, that's fantastic. I'd love to hear that. I'd love to get that feedback from you. And if you go ahead and send me an email now at WLS860@gmail.com, I'd like to thank you personally. I like to thank you personally for listening, whether you're listening live or in archives. So again, thank you ever so much. I appreciate it. Listen, we're going to talk about the state of football in America, and there's been a lot. And I've commented on my Blog Talk Radio show about this and on YouTube about this. So it only seemed like it was the right thing to do to go ahead and bring this to our Spreaker listeners. We still have people listening to the show as we did before, so. Yeah, I think it was only the appropriate thing to do is to bring this opinion to our Spreaker listeners and our Spreaker audience, and that way this sort of common sense opinion is here on Spreaker where it may not exist. The Ray Rice situation. I don't know if a lot of you have heard. Ray Rice is was a running back for the Baltimore Ravens, And in March of this year, there was a videotape of Ray Rice striking his then girlfriend, his then fiance, Janae Palmer, and knocking her out cold. It was obvious they were arguing about something and being ugly to one another, and suddenly out of nowhere came a left jab to Janae's head, and Janae dropped like a sack of potatoes. And I'm not trying to be funny about this, but I'm trying to relay to you the quickness and the violence of it. And she was out. And he drug her out of an elevator. This elevator was in a casino in New Jersey. Now, I've never been to a casino, but for what I understand is that there aren't many casinos in America that don't have a camera everywhere. I don't think you could take a poop in a casino. I don't think you can take a poop in a casino without somebody finding out. Without somebody finding out that you took a poop, and where you took a poop, and how long you were in there, and even the condition of the poop. They videotape in a casino. I think when you go in a casino, you have to understand they videotape everything. Everything, everywhere. So I'm thinking if I'm in the casino and I got to go to the bathroom, I'll just go back up to my room. After combing my room for oh, thank you. My friend Gary Knight is listening through his phone, listening live. I appreciate because the email came out. So cool. Thanks. That's good. I appreciate that. Thanks, Gary. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Gary, if you're listening, because you're listening live, do me a favor. Go ahead and text me the website that we were talking about, and that way I can share that and get that out here on Spreaker. I'd appreciate it. Anyway, so this happens. And this happens in March, and it is August. While we're still talking about it, the NFL, upon talking to Janae Palmer, again the fiance at the time of Ray Rice, and lawyers and football folks decide that Ray Rice needs a 2-game suspension for his penalty from the NFL. At the time, and still now, Ray Rice was not charged. The DA, the legal authorities in New Jersey, looked at the tape apparently, and looked at the situation and decided not to charge Ray Rice. Now, I think that's important. They decided not to charge Ray Rice, and they didn't. But the NFL gave Ray Rice a 2-game suspension, and Roger Goodell, the chairman of the commissioner of the NFL, thought that was appropriate. Well, guess what? When that information came out, all hell broke loose, mostly in the liberal left. Now, a lot of us think that the liberal left doesn't only exist in politics, but the liberal left exists in every form of media and sports media as well. And you ask why? Well, because they all went to the same journalism schools. They all got the same thing. You know, it's interesting how the people who cover sports suddenly want to be serious journalists. When most of the things that they talk about are first downs and touchdowns, but now they want to delve into these deep, important social issues like domestic violence, because it gives them a feeling that they're actually doing something that has value. In any case, I guess that was a slam, right? Was that a slam? That was a slam. But I digress. Let me go back to the situation. So, the 4-letter network, as we'll refer to them, and a lot of their minion around the country are up in arms about how light the penalty was. They wanted a year suspension or Ray Rice to be kicked out of the National Football League. And here's how it went down. Again, if you're living under a rock, I'll tell you how it went down. What happened was that Ray Rice apparently didn't tell Roger Goodell the whole story. Of course not, because Janae Palmer, then Janae Rice, yes, she married him anyway after this event. Whatever they said was different than the video all of the video that got released. And it got released because TMZ quotes sports, like TMZ has a sports division. Since when? TMZ Sports, and I say that like it really exists. TMZ got a hold of the video and released it. And you can actually see Ray Rice strike Janae Palmer. Well, of course, everybody just lost their damn mind, right? Everybody just went crazy. So now the punishment had to go up, right? It had to. So what happened as soon as that happened? The Baltimore Ravens released Ray Rice, and when that happened, in order to keep Ray Rice, now this is important, and this is something that a lot of people, especially who are outside of sports and outside of the national understanding what happens in the National Football League, don't understand. As long as Ray Rice is suspended by the NFL. For those, initially for 2 games, that wasn't going to be enough. So then the league suspended him indefinitely. That's like being in Guantanamo indefinitely, detained indefinitely, right? So that's where Ray Rice is right now, suspended indefinitely, banned. And when you suspend somebody in the NFL, and I'll tell you why they suspend people for a year, 2 years, 3 years, or indefinitely, is because that the CFL, the Canadian Football League, which a lot of these guys would just go to the Canadian Football League and play football. What happens is that they have a gentleman's agreement with the NFL to not sign for any of their teams, anyone in their league, to sign suspended NFL players. Otherwise, guys would just go play in Canada. A lot of very, very successful football players have had very long and successful careers in Canada. Some had careers before they came here. Warren Moon comes to mind. Very successful career in Canada before he came here and started to play for the Houston Oilers, where he had another successful Hall of Fame career. So that's why they do it. So now Ray Rice, nothing's changed. But now Ray Rice is not a member, even with 3 years of his contract remaining with the Baltimore Ravens, is not a member of any NFL football franchise at this point, completely out of a job. Now, a lot of you are hopping up and down with joy because you're thinking this sumbitch got what he deserves, right? Here's the problem. Let me tell you what the problem is. The problem is that in everybody's bloodlust to get Ray Rice, they forgot who the real victim is. The real victim in all of this is not the NFL, is not the Shield, is not the fans of the Baltimore Ravens, it's not the fans of the NFL football of the NFL. Those aren't the victims. Not at all. Those are not the victims. The only victim in this is Janae Rice. Janae Rice is the only one that got punched and knocked out unceremoniously in that elevator, and was drug out with her butt in full view. What an ignominious way to be exposed to the world. She's the only victim. And in this conversation, there was no conversation about Janae Rice to see if she was going to be safe, if she was okay. The only thing that anybody, like the Full Letter Network and everybody else's bloodlust, all the haters' bloodlust for Ray Rice, there was no discussion about, is Janae Rice safe? Is she going to be safe? Because I'll tell you what happened. Growing up in a household of domestic abuse, I know how the abuser thinks. I understand how the abuser thinks. Ray Rice, after getting suspended indefinitely, didn't go to bed that night and wake up and think, Well, you know what? He didn't find Jesus that night in the middle of the night in a vision, and then get on his knees and pray for forgiveness, or didn't ask for forgiveness from Janae and his fans and all that stuff. That didn't happen. He woke up angry. He woke up unemployed and angry that his career was over. The thing that he'd worked the most for in his whole life since he was a kid was over. Over. And I'll tell you how it works. I'll tell you how it works in the mind of an abuser. In the mind of an abuser, he didn't take any personal. Abusers never take personal responsibility for their actions, ever. You got to know that. That's one of the complexities about domestic violence. They never blame themselves. It's always something or somebody else. And the only person that was there when he woke up that morning after being suspended was Janae. The only person that was in danger at that point was Janae, and nobody gave a damn about her. Nobody mentioned, we need to make sure that Janae Rice is okay. The NFL didn't mention it. The four-letter network didn't mention it. The women in Congress who showed up suddenly because they're running for office, who are suddenly outraged by the behavior of the NFL. They didn't mention it. The National Organization of Women, they didn't mention Janae Rice one single time. And you know what? And demanding something be done to ensure that Janae Rice is going to be okay. Not one thing, and for me, that's the problem. Yes, did the NFL mishandle it? Yes, they mishandle it terribly, but not in a way that you think they mishandle it. Most of you people think that they should have, the Ravens should have fired him right away, and they should have kicked him out of the league, and that was going to do what? Does that stop domestic violence? Does that stop another abuser? Does that stop Ray Rice from abusing Janae anymore? Well, hell no, it doesn't. That's ridiculous. What should have happened, what the reporters that were grilling the commissioner of the NFL on Friday, what they should have done is said, why didn't you guys come up with something to help Ray Rice? Why not some severe and intense counseling on a weekly basis? With his success in counseling that week, with him playing that week being dependent on how well he did in counseling that week. So you keep the playing going. That way he gets to play, but he's forced to go through counseling, and he's forced to do it in the right spirit, because if he doesn't, he doesn't get to play, and he doesn't get paid. So he's got to keep this going. That makes him better. That keeps Janae safer. And maybe at the end, maybe at some point in this process, you can use Ray Rice to help people not abuse. I know that's a longer thing, and it isn't nearly as sexy as kicking him out. And you know what? And even when that happened, the bloodlust, the blood was in the water. So the next person, if they couldn't get him kicked out, well, they had to go to Roger Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, and get him to resign because he mishandled us so bad. He needs to quit. Well, you know what? I've not been, and I'm a fan of the NFL, and I have not been a Roger Goodell fan of the NFL as a commissioner for all sorts of reasons. I think that Roger Goodell has sucked the fun right out of the NFL. And I think that under his leadership, the competition committee has made it almost impossible for defenses to be successful because of the new rules and some of the penalties and how they're being enforced. I think it makes it dang near impossible for defenses to be effective. So for those reasons, and of course his view on celebrations, for those reasons, I'm ready to see Roger Goodell go. I think that Roger Goodell didn't do enough in the Ray Rice situation, but he didn't do enough to help Ray Rice, and by helping Ray Rice, make Janae Rice safer. That's where he screwed up. And I don't think that most people who are out there who are calling for Ray Rice's head gave a crap about Janae Rice either. Because now we live in a different time. We live in the court. I mean, where the real court, the legal court, is subjective to the court of public opinion, and that's a dangerous place, where the court of public opinion trumps due process and good reason. All right, we'll take a little break. We'll be back with more of the Will Austin Show right after these messages. We appreciate you being here, and when we get back, we're going to go ahead and share the Twitter address for the folks, my friends at New Homes Tampa Bay. If you're moving into the area, and I will and I've got it right here. If you move into the area and you want a new home, and I think that, and I have found because Gary has taught me that new homes are a lot less complicated than you think, and you know what, and you don't have, and I understand, as an owner of a previously owned home, there are always surprises. My surprise was that I moved into a home and it had the original roof, and I was never told by anybody in the process that this house had the original roof. And we just got it replaced last summer, I guess, and we're talking about it was a 20-plus-year-old roof. So did it leak? Yes. Yes. Was it hard to get insurance? Yes. It's hard to get insurance on an older home in Florida to start with. It's hard to get insurance on an older home in Florida to start with, but it's certainly hard to get insurance on an older home with an original roof. So we got that taken care of. That's the kind of stuff you don't have to worry about with a new home. And so if you want to get a hold of New Homes Tampa, newhomestampa.com is the website. It's brand new. They're still working on it. It might not have all the information set yet, but you know what? You can go there and get an idea of the type of information that's available and what kind of organization you're dealing with. We're talking about quality folks who understand the market and are concerned about you. That's the deal. If you go to a lot of realtors, a lot of real estate agents, I'll tell you what, their prime directive is to sell you whatever they can at the highest price possible. And at the end of that process, you are left to your own devices. What I do know about the folks at New Homes of Tampa is that they are an ethical group, and you know what? And when you're talking about making one of the largest purchases that you've ever made, which in a new home, unless you're crazy and you've bought a car that's several $100,000, but you know, when you buy a home, like the commercial says, it's not just a place to live. It's a place where you can, you know what, where your future is. You know, that's where you're going to raise your family. That's where you're going to retire, possibly. That's where your future is going to take place. You want to make sure you do it right. You want to make sure that you're with the right kind of people. That's the deal. You want to make sure that you are with the right kind of people. And my friends at New Homes of Tampa are the right kind of people. You know what? If you want to get a hold of folks, let me see here. I'm reading this. It's easier to go to Facebook.com/newhomestpa. Okay, or you can reach them on Twitter at newhomestpa. TPA is abbreviation for Tampa. New Homes TPA at New Homes TPA on Twitter, or go to Facebook.com/newhomestpa. Okay. You know what? They can again, they do planning sessions for new home buyers to make sure they buy a new home in a way that's smart and minimizes their risk and increases their options throughout the process. That's what you want. They're going to give you all. They're going to give you all the information that you can possibly need. They're going to make sure that you have all the information you need to make the best decisions for you and your family. You know, you go to some of these places, and it seems like everybody's playing a shell game. Everybody's keeping important information from you. If you won't feel that way once you contact my friends at New Homes Tampa. You won't feel that way. You'll feel like you're buying a home and not being sold a home. You'll feel like you're buying a home and not being sold a house. And that's the difference. All right, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back with more of the Will Austin Show here on Spreaker.com. And until we see you again, just hang out, just chill out, tell your friends, share the link, and we'll be back in just a moment.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes two. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese.
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Well, good morning. Are you interested in upping your conservative IQ? To be more solid in your conservative thought? To be able to debate at a higher level? To be able to understand at a higher level what conservatism in America is really all about? Well, I can help you now. Alongside us as partners is a new partner, the RedRiverChronicle.com website. The RedRiverChronicle.com website, whose founder is Kevin Batts, understands what conservatism is all about and understands it in the way they write their articles, their commentary, all the educational material that is on the website, put together in a great way, very easy to navigate. So if you want to up your IQ, go to RedRiverChronicle.com. All right. Welcome back to the Will Austin Show here on Spreaker.com. Our subject today is the state of football in America. So now you've got my take on Ray Rice. I don't think anybody else in any media has the same take that I have, because I've not heard it. I've not heard that take. A similar take by a local guy who used to play for the Bucs, named Steve White, was on a local show and was more concerned about Ray Rice getting help, and getting help not to make him better necessarily, but to make Janae Rice safer. But nobody else in media has the same take, and I wish they did. But it sort of gives you an idea of the things they're really concerned about. It's a court of public opinion, and I think that we have to be very careful about the assent. Indeed, the assent of the court of public opinion. Nowhere else have you seen the assent of court of public opinion as you have around a young man who was the quarterback of the Florida State University Seminole football team, a young man by the name of Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston was a redshirt freshman last year, and came on the scene like gangbusters in the Pittsburgh game. Had tremendous exploits on the field, but it was soon learned that he had some trouble. He was being accused of sexual assault by this young woman at Florida State University. And as it turned out, through all of this, as we came closer and closer to the two ends of the season, one end was the possible national championship game, and his chance to win the Heisman Trophy. This all played out dramatically. As it turned out, the Attorney General of Florida decided not to prosecute Jameis Winston for sexual assault. So he was never, and the fact of the matter is that he was never arrested, and he was never charged with a crime. He had an accusation. And we have to be careful in this country because it seems like we're at an interesting point where all it takes is an accusation to have your life ruined. And the worse the accusation, the easier it is for people to glom on in the court of public opinion and you be found guilty simply because you were accused of some horrible thing. And no doubt, sexual assault is a horrible thing. And if Jameis Winston had been charged with sexual assault and found guilty, then of course whatever legal punishment the criminal court system would have come up with, he would deserve. However, how it works in this country is that a person isn't guilty just because you want them to be. Just because you don't like them, just because he's not on your favorite team, that's not how it works. Or you don't like him because he's famous or he's an athlete or whatever. That's not how it works. There needs to be proof, and it needs to be done correctly. So as it turns out, Jameis Winston was not charged with sexual assault, and went back to his life as quarterback of the Florida State University football team. And, of course, being a 20-something, I always look at me and go, golly, I am so glad, and I've said this to people, I'm telling you, and I'm not even going to tell you why, but I am really happy that in 1981, there was no cell phone pictures or cameras. You know what I'm saying? There was no cell phone cameras, so there's no cell phone video or pictures documenting me in my early 20s. I know there's a lot of people my age who are thankful for the same thing, that there is very little, if any, documentation of our behavior in 1981 and 82, where we were and what we were doing. There's very little documentation. There may be some old faded photographs, maybe. But that's about all. There's probably not videotape. There's probably not Super 8 movies or whatever we had at the time. I don't remember what we had. Probably no VHS tapes of our behavior because those recorders were very expensive and we didn't have them in college. But we live in a different world now. Information travels fast, and Jameis Winston has a target on his back. So we hear this summer that Jameis Winston walks out of a local Publix with some food, with some crab legs they didn't pay for. Now, not to make excuses for the young man, I don't know why he walked out of the store without paying for them. I don't know whether he forgot. I don't know whether he got distracted. I don't know whether he stole them because he got hooked up by somebody in the store. I don't know. don't know. I really don't know. So I can't sit here this evening and defend him. I don't know what happened. But I do know that he walked out of the store, and I do know that when he got home, he called the store and told him. So I'm not sure why you call him and say, hey, I walked out of the store with some crab legs. My bad. My bad. Sorry. However, the Leon County Sheriff's Department decided that they were going to do what they do with a lot of young people who are in trouble with stuff like that. That they decide that they're going to put them in a program that keeps them from getting a criminal record. And that program has worked great in Tallahassee and Leon County with dealing with youthful offenders to keep them from getting a criminal record, which makes it difficult for them to get jobs later and become a useful member of the community. So Jameis Winston got put in a similar program. He had he had community service hours to do, and then they were over in a weekend, and he's done. Now, fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, Jameis Winston is videotaped with cell phone video reenacting a vulgar but unfortunately very popular YouTube spoof, and is videotaped doing this hopping on a table and doing this in the student union at Florida State, in Oglesby Union at Florida State University. It is unfortunate, but this YouTube spoof is extremely popular and making its way around college campuses like wildfire, and has been all summer and all the early part of the fall. And Jameis Winston reenacted this YouTube thing with all the regalia of the vulgarity of the language, and then it was everywhere. It was viral. It was everywhere. There's no videotape that I've seen of him doing it, but apparently the football team, the athletic folks saw it and thought that it was appropriate to suspend Jameis Winston for the first half of the Clemson game that was held last Saturday. I'm going through all this to give you some background. And they did. So he was suspended. So immediately the four-letter network decided that it wasn't enough, and got the tribe all upset that it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. They wanted their full pound of flesh, not a half pound of flesh. They wanted a full pound of flesh, because this kid's been in trouble, and this kid, and of course the list of his offenses. He got into earlier when he was a freshman, and while redshirted, while nobody knew who the hell he was, got into a BB gun fight with some of his friends and broke out a window. Is that not come on now, does that seem like a horrible, terrible person who needs to be locked up? No, that sounds like some youthful, blowing off some youthful steam. Yes, and he did break a window. Yes, did break a window, and was alleged that he walked out of a fast food place, a Burger King, with a cup of Sprite. Didn't pay for a soft drink. Cup of Sprite. Okay. Not good. I'm not justifying stealing food. I'm not justifying breaking a window and being irresponsible in that way. But you know what? I'm not going to condemn anybody to death over any of this stuff either. But the court of public opinion, which has become a very dangerous thing in our country, I think, a very dangerous thing, and is sparked on by the internet. The internet makes it easy for everybody to comment, for everybody to have an opinion, to make it seem like a lot of people think one way or the other. when the fact of the matter is that it's usually a small but vocal minority that keep things stirred up on the internet. So if there's outrage, and I love this new term, outrage, that something needs to be done. Why? Because why does something need to be done? Because people are outraged. So in their horrible lack of wisdom, after this the half game suspension had been announced, the administration at Florida State University, led by interim president Garnet Stokes, she decided that he would be suspended for the entire game. Certainly cutting the knees out of the athletic staff, the people who had already made the first decision, cutting the knees out from right under them. Typical chick boss move. I posted. Typical. Because obviously they had been getting pressure from the media all day long Friday, as this game as we were looking closer and closer into this impending football game between Florida State University and Clemson University that was held at Doak Campbell State on Bobby Bowden Field at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee at 8:00 on Saturday evening. So you know what? As the game got closer and closer, Dr. Garnet Stokes and the other wimps at Florida State University got more and more nervous and decided that on Friday evening that Jameis Winston would serve the entire game suspension. And again, that wasn't enough either for the Florida Network and some other folks. However, it was a game. Now, some more background. I know this is going on a long time, but some more background. The game starts, the coverage starts anyway of the game, and Jameis Winston comes out and warms up in uniform with his team, pads, jersey, pants, the whole deal, and warms up with the football team. The Four-Letter Network, who is covering the game, is apoplectic, as they make sure that they keep the camera on Jameis Winston during this entire warm-up time, and are showing this outrage. Thank you. It's nice to know that I'm not out here talking to myself. My friend Gary says, if athletes were generally a liberal group, they'd be making excuses for them. Weed, no problem. But Sprite and crab legs are. Yeah. They expect them to smoke weed and that kind of stuff, and everybody's got a baby. That's not a horrible thing anymore, that these athletes who are not married have children. When you see them walking up and down the sideline after the game holding their children, there's no outrage from America and the Four-Letter Network about any of that. However, Sprite and crab legs, wow. Well, you know what? Lock them up. Throw away the key. It's crazy. It's absolutely nutty. But anyway, so we have the game. So he warms up with his team, and the Four-Letter Network is apoplectic because he's in uniform. Apoplectic. Can't keep the camera off of him. Find Jimbo Fisher, the coach of Florida State University, talking to him about the uniform, obviously, and Jimbo looks a little frustrated. He does. Jimbo Fisher, the coach, looks a little frustrated, and what happens is that Jameis goes into the locker room and changes, gets out of his pads. He's still wearing his jersey. And now is donning some track pants, apparently some black track pants. Comes back out, stands on the sideline, and all he does for the next 60 minutes is cheer on his teammates. He doesn't sit sullen on the sideline. He doesn't find a seat somewhere and sit there box mouth. He's out on the sideline coaching up his teammates, helping Sean McGuire. Sean McGuire says later that they spent hours together, and with Jameis Winston helping Sean McGuire get prepared for that game. And I'll tell you what, I was not, and if you look at my Facebook post, you can tell I was not happy with young Sean McGuire. Some of the decisions he made, not at all. I know this was his first start. I get it. But as a fan of Florida State University, it didn't make, his performance did not make me happy. It did not make me look forward to the time where Sean McGuire is going to be the guy. Because I think that this is Jameis Winston's last year. I think that he goes to the pros next year and opens the door for at least 1 year of Sean McGuire. And after Saturday's performance, I'm not looking forward to Sean McGuire, frankly. I think that he did the best job he could under the circumstances. But the reality is I'm not looking forward to Sean McGuire being the quarterback for Florida State University's football team. I'm not. But you know what? He didn't have a bigger friend preparing for that game on Thursday and Friday than Jameis Winston. Now, the court of public opinion wants Jameis Winston's head on a platter. And I'm not sure why. Because they figured that the original thing that we talked about was the sexual assault allegations, that they didn't get, the court of public opinion, the bloodlust, the blood that was in the water for that, and he seemed to escape. Now, the liberal left and the four-letter network and the media in general feels like he escaped. The fact of the matter is that there wasn't there was nothing to the charges, and he didn't get charged. He didn't forget getting charged. He didn't get arrested. He didn't get charged. And who of us out here would like to have our lives ruined by an allegation? I'll always tell the story, and I told the story on my Ball Talk radio show a number of times about, this was a few years ago. Golly, I was teaching at Adams Middle School, and this didn't happen at Adams. It happened in a school, elementary school in Kansas, where this teacher, sixth grade teacher, was accused by this boy that he had touched the little boy inappropriately. Now, to make things even worse, this first boy got a second boy, to say this teacher also had touched him inappropriately. Well, after a while, the second kid broke down and told the truth and said that the teacher had never touched him, and the first kid paid him $1, 100 pennies, 4 quarters, to say that the teacher had touched him inappropriately. Now, this teacher wasn't just not guilty. This teacher was innocent, had done nothing. And because of the allegations, his life his professional life for sure was ruined. Yes, he got his teaching certificate back, but with this this attached to him, who was going to pick him up as a teacher? No one. So a change of professions was coming. He had his life ruined because of an allegation. Because no one was willing to wait for due process. No one was willing to find out what the truth actually was. That they were all ready to go with their gut and go with the allegations. We hear all the time by the liberal left. What we hear is, these are serious allegations. We need to take these seriously. Well, yeah, you need to take them seriously, but you also need to take them seriously in the sense to make sure that these allegations are true. That's the deal. You got to make sure that these allegations are true. That's what you should be taking seriously. And when the news media comes out and says these are or anybody comes out and goes, these are serious allegations, we need to take them seriously. Well, of course you do. So, but not in the way that they take them seriously. They try to find a way to make sure that all these allegations are true, and that's the approach they take. Instead of taking the approach that these are such serious allegations, we need to make doggone sure. We need to make doggone sure that they are true before we ruin somebody's life. Before the person, person who is charged is irrevocably harmed. Now, if they are guilty, then the court system, especially if there's legal aspect, then the court system will take care of the punishment. It's not up to the media, and it's not up to the court of public opinion through Facebook and Twitter to be judge, jury, and executioner of anybody's character. I think that we have to fight that with everything we have. If Commissioner Roger Goodell had said something on Friday during his press conference that I wanted to hear, he would have said that the NFL is now going to have strict adherence to due process, that we're not going to suspend people for crimes that we don't know if they've committed or not. We're not going to suspend them on just allegations. We're not going to ruin their lives and make it harder for them to earn a living simply because of an allegation. Because what happened after Ray Rice was that there are 5 more cases of allegations against NFL players. One of them being against Adrian Peterson, the running back, probably the best running back in the league, running back for the Minnesota Vikings, because he spanked his child with a switch. Now, I'll tell you what, a switch is, when I heard it described on ESPN, the Florida network, the idiot said, the talking head said it was a branch. Well, that put into mind that it was, what I think of, somebody pulled down an oak branch and started swinging at this 4-year-old. When the fact of the matter is, it's a switch is not much more than a vine. It's not much more than a vine. And yes, it did leave marks on the child. And I'll tell you why it's called a switch. It's called a switch because when you get hit with it, especially on your bare legs, it makes you switch positions. It makes you switch from this cheek to that cheek, from this thigh to that thigh, to the front to the back. That's why it's called a switch. That's why. And it is a cultural thing. I'll just say it, most white folks have never been hit with a switch. They don't have any idea, and especially if they're not from the South. It's a cultural thing, and it's interesting that that northern liberals can decide that even if it's a cultural thing because they don't agree with it and or understand it, then it can't happen. Then it must not happen. So we've got that going on as well. And because of this, it is possible. I don't think it is, but it's possible that Adrian Peterson will never play a down of football in the NFL because he too has been suspended indefinitely and is on the exempt list, along with some other players. And the allegations just came flowing out. A running back for the Arizona Cardinals, second string running back, the allegations came forth about an incident that happened in June. And those allegations came out, and he was arrested in September. And from his baby's mama. Note to NFL players from Willie. Don't have a baby's mama. Do not participate in baby mama drama. It's not going to work out. It never works out, so don't do it. Avoid it like the plague. You're going to do what you do, so rap that rascal. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all going to do what you do. I understand that. I'm grown. I'm 54 years old. I understand that some of y'all are going to do what you do. Rap that rascal. Don't get involved in baby mama drama. Because you know that some of these people are out here just to get what they can get, and they are the people that you are allowing the power by which to ruin your life. Don't do it. All right, we got to get out of here. It's midnight. It's midnight in Central Time Zone. It's dang near 1 o'clock here. We're going to get out of here. Listen, I want you to make sure that you go to the Will Lawson Show tomorrow. We're going to be broadcasting live on Blog Talk Radio at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. on our Terrific Tuesday show. We're going to talk about what's going on where we live, and we're going to talk about some important strategies by which to use as we go into the 2014 elections, and how important the 2014 elections are. But until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.